I'm Pete White, and I'm locked in.
I'm Stephen Mowry, and I'm locked in.
I'm Jordan Griffin, and I'm locked in.
Hey everybody, this is Island Fight CEO Dean Toole, and I am locked in.
I'm Michael Davis, and I'm locked in.
This is John Fitch, and I am locked in.
And we are locked in with David Van Auken.
That's me.
Max Van Auken.
That's you.
In our brand new studio.
Locked in Avenue, Building 1, Arena 3, the Locked In Studio.
This is absolutely gorgeous.
It's a dream come true.
We're eating pizza to
Started
celebrate.
from the bottom and we're here.
We're eating pizza to celebrate it. We are here, guys, the new Locked In studio. We will be having guests live in the studio. Of course, phone call if they live in another country like Mark Hunt in Australia. Or we can just, kind of guilt them into coming in the studio anyway.
We could fly him over first class, locked in. That's what we do. First class.
I love it.
First class.
But it is an exciting time for if you're a Knicks fan, and it's an exciting time if you're a Lakers fan. Maybe not so exciting if you're a Pelicans fan.
I feel like we go through topics quarterly, yearly, and this is a topic that will stick to the Locked In Sports podcast for the next 6 months. Because Anthony Davis wants out of New Orleans. He wants out. He wants to become a Laker. Maybe a Knick, maybe a Celtic. But Lakers are by far the top of the mountain that he wants to go to.
Yep. And he just got fined $50,000 because his agent, Rich Paul, who LeBron James is represented by Rich Paul as well with Clutch Sports, made an announcement. And I looked into it because I thought there's been players before who've demanded a trade before who didn't get fined, but it's because they didn't let their ownership know before they came out and said it.
Exactly.
So I'm like, okay, that does make sense.
And it is weird that he didn't do that because he's a great guy. He doesn't want to be the villain. He doesn't want New Orleans to be upset with him. Why wouldn't he go to ownership first?
Well, maybe because if he releases this to ownership, they can spin it in a way where it doesn't make it as urgent.
Ooh.
If you just kind of let the whole world know before allowing ownership to kind of get the story first, then they can't put their spin on it the way they would originally if they knew about it.
Max, you're locked in tonight, Cuzzo.
Thank you.
Locked in just like your NFL playoff picks.
Thank you. Like, think about it. And not trying to sound gruesome here, but I mean, if you committed a crime, right?
Right to a crime?
Well, yeah,
that's the first thing you thought of.
If you committed a crime and you told somebody about the crime before you went to court, your lawyer knows the information and he could put his spin on it. But if you just went straight to and the jury decided if you're guilty or not and you didn't have the lawyer represent you the way you wanted to, the information may be completely different. You may receive it differently.
I didn't like how you started this, but that actually makes absolute perfect sense to me.
Gracias.
So, okay, here we go. We're getting along too much. Cuzzo, he's going to be a New York Knick. Let's talk about the trade at the Lakers. You want them to literally trade Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, LeBron James' firstborn son. You want to trade the whole team. Cuzzo, explain yourself, please.
Yes, I disagree with everybody because you and I, of course, talked about it off air, and I get your side of things, right? To play devil's advocate, if you get rid of Kuzma, if you get rid of Ingram, Hart, and Ball potentially all at once, you're really starting over. You're getting rid of your depth. You're getting rid of your youth, the youth that you've been developing and really blossoming and trying to figure out who works with LeBron. Now, all that goes out the window just to get one player. And obviously, two players don't win you a championship. You need a collective unit. You need a team.
Yep. Even the Warriors have a bench, guys.
Not now, because they have 5 All-Stars. But, back in the day, they needed it. But anyway, my whole point to this is, yes, I understand. So if I'm Magic Johnson, I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm Jeannie Buss, and I'm sitting with the New Orleans Pelicans, and I'm sitting with their management, right? And I'm sitting with their GM. I would say, okay, listen, from a business standpoint, I understand why, as a Pelicans GM, you want to wait until the offseason where you may get a better trade offer from Boston. You may get a better trade offer from the New York Knicks because what if they do have the number 1 pick, which is most likely Zion? So from their standpoint, I understand why they have to be, quote-unquote, overwhelmed by the Lakers in order to make this trade. Now, what is that overwhelming trade? That's probably Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Zubac, maybe Josh Hart.
And a first-round pick.
An unprotected first-round pick, right?
Gosh, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
And do you win the championship this year by doing that? No. But what you do is this. I woke up this morning. I checked my phone, and I saw Klay Thompson, according to Woj, and obviously, if Woj reports it, it definitely is credible and reliable.
It's like the Bible and what Woj said.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it any better.
Thank you, sir.
Klay Thompson has shown if they land Anthony Davis and he can't get the max contract, and that is an if
Sure.
he can't get the max contract from the Golden State Warriors, who will lose somebody? DeMarcus Cousins probably wants the max. Draymond Green probably wants the max. And then Klay Thompson wants the max. So they have a dilemma of their own where they have to decide who's more important, right? So let's just say they land Anthony Davis. That means you have an opportunity to get Klay Thompson, and that opportunity isn't there unless you get Anthony Davis. But then you could say, then why wouldn't you just wait until the offseason? Because the Lakers can't stand toe-to-toe with Boston in the offseason because now the Celtics can't make a trade unless Kyrie Irving is involved. So in the offseason, they can. So now their assets are way more valuable than the Lakers because the Lakers have lost stock. They've lost credibility in value in these young players because we haven't been impressed with Ingram. I mean, you and I, we kind of debated, it's like the definition of locked in right now is the Lonzo Ball and Russell Westbrook debate. Lonzo Ball is underachieved in most eyes.
And injured again, by the way.
Again. And then you have the LeVar Ball. And then Josh Hart is good basketball IQ, good kid, went to Villanova.
Nice role player.
Yeah,
Good
but
role
he's
player.
not going to be an all-star.
Nope.
So these people have lost value. So you're going to lose Anthony Davis if Kyrie decided to say, hey, I am staying, and we can trade for Anthony Davis. So if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, back all the way to my point, because I know I'm going on a tangent here,
Pretty long.
is if I'm Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka, I say, okay, I'm going to give you Kyle Kuzma. That's the number one guy you want, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you Lonzo Ball, so you have a point guard, a young playmaker, who you may say is underachieving, but he still has promise. He still has potential. And I'm going to give you Josh Hart with a pick. Wow. Okay, now I at least have Kuzma, right? So then if we can get Anthony Davis, we as in the Los Angeles Lakers, I am a Laker guy, we have Anthony Davis officially in the building in a Lakers uniform with the best player in the world, LeBron James. Two of the top 5 players in the world, and in today's league, you need to have stars to win a championship. Now I am securing an opportunity to sign another max player, such as a Klay Thompson, or recent reports, we'll get into it, Kyrie Irving expressing interest in wanting to rejoin LeBron James. Now you can focus on the third star. Then you have all these expiring one-year contracts and veterans who you can trade in and trade out and get a Rondo. Maybe convince a lot of veterans will want to accept the minimum to win a champion like we saw in Miami and Cleveland. And my last point before I let you tear it apart, Caldwell Pope. Everyone says, why don't they want to include that?
Yo, KCP, yeah, you know me.
This is a big part. He has $30 million. If you trade him, that prohibits you from signing another max player. By keeping him this year and letting it go, then you could sign that max player. So that's why they can't include him in a lot of these trade talks. You see Lance Stevenson, all the other players, but Caldwell Pope. So that's why.
Wow, Max. Okay. For one, I got so many different things, but let's just stick with the Anthony Davis trade. Why should the Pelicans trade him? It, to me, does absolutely no good. You don't get any better assets. You have his rights, not for the 2019 season that we're in right now, guys. 2018's over, so 2019. You have him again for 2020, the season. So 1.5 more years. If you're the Pelicans, why trade him? You don't have to trade him this week and a hurried up, hey, I want out of New Orleans. I'm Anthony Davis. I want to go to L.A. I want out. And 3 days later, boom, make the trade. Like the Kawhi for San Antonio, he said, I wanted out. I want to go to nowhere to L.A. They sat on it. They sat on it for like 6 weeks. And then Toronto kind of out of left field said, dude, we'll give you an all-star level guy in his prime, DeMar DeRozan, and they got a lights-out deal. New York's involved. They have the worst record in the league. The Suns just won 2 out of the last 3 games. I'm happy because it happened last night. So if we did the podcast last night, my point would maybe be a little null and void. There's so many games in the regular season left. But right now, the Knicks have the worst record in the league. They could get the first pick in the draft, and you could pick a guy, Max, that I know you love dear to your heart. I love him. He's a franchise quarterback player for the National Basketball Association, Zion Williamson. I like Kuzma. Ingram, maybe. Ball. Yeah, these are good players. Josh Hart, he's a role player. He's not better than Zion Williamson. You mentioned Boston. Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, maybe Tatum. Maybe this thing doesn't work out. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Lost to a guy named LeBron again in the Eastern Conference Finals. LeBron's gone. He's out west. So Boston should win the East. Everyone kind of predicted them to go into the season to win the East. Put them in Philly or Milwaukee or Toronto. All three teams are playing right now better than them, better records than Boston. If they do it, maybe Coach Brad Stevens goes, hey, this thing isn't working. We got too many guys. I really want Rozier. Kyrie Irving wants a max contract. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you do trade him for AD, him and Jaylen Brown. I just think there's no reason to hurry if you're the Pelicans.
This is what I'm going to rebuttal with. There is, because of this, the 1-year rental, right? And people say, look at Kawhi Leonard. He decided to go to, well, he didn't decide. He got traded to Toronto. He is going to leave, and he will become a Los Angeles Clipper. I firmly believe that. That's locked in my mind. So right now...
Like Paul George to the Lakers?
Yeah. But I think it will happen. Then there's two big things that's different here. One, we're looking at this trade right now for Toronto and saying, look what they did. But we're also in the early stages of the trade where it favors Toronto. But look what happens when Kawhi leaves. You no longer have your best player, DeMar DeRozan, and you have a second guy, Kyle Lowry, who's deteriorating and is not the player he was. So you're going from the number one, and you will go down from maybe the playoffs. So that's the first thing.
Let me just stick to Toronto and then let you go to number two. Toronto never broke through that glass ceiling before. This is the year that they could do it. You went for it. You like aggressiveness. You like the teams to go for it, like the Rams who gave money to Sue and Talib and all that stuff. They made the trade. They have the best team in the East. They're the number one seed. They have a chance to go to the NBA Finals this year. And if they don't, if Kawhi leaves, they'll have a lot of money to rebuild. They weren't getting through that glass ceiling. They weren't going to not get through Boston or Philly with DeRozan and Lowry. So I agree on their trade, regardless if he goes or stays.
And I hear you. That makes sense. The second thing is this. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard both don't share Rich Paul. Rich Paul, there's a reason why Anthony Davis chose Rich Paul.
Great point.
There's a reason why he bought a house in Los Angeles the summer before.
Great point.
And there's a reason why he's taken this approach. There's a reason why he had dinner with LeBron James. A couple weeks go by. Let's not make it obvious. Okay, you're now going to announce that you're going to want to trade. Now, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, if you're married and all of a sudden you go out to 3 dates in a row with a girl to Arby's, and then all of a sudden a couple months later it's like, hey, me and that girl getting together. It's like, come on, that's
we
obvious.
All know, they want to be together. So a lot of teams don't want to take the risk for a 1-year rental because maybe a lot of teams aren't in the situation that Toronto's in. For example, your Knicks. And I could play the devil's advocate all day when it comes to would you trade the house for Anthony Davis, because we heard this point. What has he done in 7 years? Yeah, he's a transcendent talent, but talent doesn't mean much in this league when all we do is base them off accomplishments with rings. And he's only won one playoff series. So if you think Zion Williamson can be this special player that we both believe he can, or do you really want to give that up for Anthony Davis? Because what if Zion Williamson has more of an impact than Anthony Davis? What if he gels better with Kristaps Porzingis because he doesn't play the same position as him? And he gets along with Kevin Knox better because they just gel better together. And if I'm the Lakers, back to your point, because I'm contradicting myself, why trade the house for him? So, there's so many different question marks for to sacrifice all of this for a 1-year rental where you know he wants to go to Los Angeles, I think is kind of risky.
No, I agree, but you heard that with Kawhi and Paul George. And the OKC Thunder traded Sabonis and Victor, a future All-Star for him. The Raptors traded DeMar DeRozan and All-Star for Kawhi. They're superstars. And Anthony Davis, I can argue, is maybe better or highly regarded more than Kawhi or Paul George. So people are going to give up the house. Boston's going to give you Jaylen Brown and Kyrie for
1 year?
Oh, yeah. You try to win championships. The Heat got blasted when they traded for Shaq 15 years ago, but they won a title and they kind of went downhill after Shaq got old and Wade kind of suffered until LeBron came. If you win a title, Max, you know how hard it is to win a title. You know how hard it is for LeBron to win one in Cleveland. It's tough. So if you're any team Milwaukee, you trade Chris Middleton for AD. Yes, you go for it. You try to win a championship. You match up Giannis and AD. A sleeper in all this, I think, is the Warriors. If DeMarcus Cousins is a rental, he's going to get overly paid in the offseason. Washington, Brooklyn, a team like that. You'd maybe trade him and Draymond, him and Clay, that you know you're not going to give max money for Anthony Davis. I just think if you're the Pelicans, he is absolutely your franchise quarterback. You got to get a great deal here. You have to.
I'll say this too, though. The more time that goes by, people think it favors the Pelicans, but I think it'll actually favor the Lakers. Bless you. Because this is it almost made me lose my train of thought here. If Anthony Davis, the more it goes on, right? Like every leak, there's a reason why it gets leaked. Of
course.
Like there's a reason. Someone says, hey, leak this story. There's a time and place for a leak, and it's calculated every time. Rich Paul, I'm sure, was ahead of all these leaks leading up to this. Right? It's the worst told secret in the NBA. The more time that goes on, there's already a report saying that Rich Paul and Anthony Davis are going to make it known he just wants to be a Laker. So you're telling me from now till the offseason there's not going to be more of that? And that's going to turn off a lot of teams. And a lot of teams may think like how you're thinking right now, be aggressive anyway, but a lot of teams may not feel that way. And they're going to say, listen, okay, now he stated it once here, dinner with LeBron here, LeBron's agent here, bought a house in Los Angeles here, and now he's making it known to teams he's going to Los Angeles regardless now. Some teams may take that risk, but a lot may not. So I think it actually will. The Lakers don't want to wait till the offseason, no secret there, but I think the Pelicans have that in the back of their mind. Okay, I guarantee you tomorrow morning there's going to be a story by Woj. And it's just going to keep going that way until they feel pressured enough, and the Lakers probably will do a trade they shouldn't do and get him.
Max, you know what I like to do? I like to role play. Nothing funny. Like not funny, but I'm the New Orleans Pelicans. You're
what John and I did with
you're Rob. I don't want to talk about John and his glowing head and him roll and play. Let's not do that. Let's not talk about that. I'm the Pelicans. Hey, Rob Pelinka, the Lakers. We won't want to trade you Anthony Davis. We want Kuzma, Ingram, Ball, Hart, and your first round pick. Do you accept this offer?
Kuzma?
Yes, sir.
Ball.
Yep.
Ingram.
Yep.
And who?
Josh Hart, and I want your unprotected first round pick.
I'll give you Kuzma.
Yep.
I'll give you Ball. I'll give you Hart. I'll give you Zubac.
No.
And I'll give you the pick.
I want Ingram, sir.
So you want all 5 of my young players?
I do. Anthony Davis is the 5th best player in the world. He's transcendent. You know you need an elite player to match with LeBron. All those guys are good players, but they're not A-plus players. I'm giving you an A-plus. Please accept it.
I'll take it.
You take the deal?
Yep.
All right, done deal. I'll have my agent fax over the email. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so the Lakers have Anthony Davis, LeBron James, 2 of the top 5 best players in the galaxy. They got Tyson Chandler, veterans like JaVale McGee, Rajon Rondo, KCP.
Lance Stevenson. How good? Let's not talk about 2020 in the summer. Let's not talk about 2021. We're still here in 2019. The Super Bowl hasn't happened. I want to know what the Los Angeles Lakers, what's their ceiling? Where do they go? How far? Can they win the whole thing? 2019, where do the Lakers go? With the roster that you just said is currently constructed.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we just did the trade. The trade's done.
The Western Conference Finals.
What?
This is the Western Conference Finals team. For one, the best player, the best player in the world. And let's
talking about James Harden?
Stop.
Talking about the MVP?
Stop. Best season, best player, completely different. You know that. Come on now. Derrick Rose wasn't the best player when he won.
We'll get to that in a second, but keep going, sir.
So my point being, I have a guy who is the Warriors' weakness, but they overwhelm him with the help, right? So I have a guy that always succeeds against the Golden State Warriors. Always. He averaged a triple-double in the finals, obviously led the team in every single category, both teams. They can't stop him.
The best player ever against the best team. Yes, totally agree.
I have a second guy who's stylistically the same threat for him. They don't have a guy. Draymond's a good defender. He's deteriorating now. He's getting older, more injuries, right?
Sure.
Banged up a little bit more. He's too short.
Not in his prime.
DeMarcus Cousins isn't getting those minutes, and DeMarcus Cousins was never known as a well-rounded defender. He's a great offensive big, but he has an attitude who doesn't always play the best defense. So my point being is this. I have 2 guys who they can't stop, who LeBron's IQ is ridiculous, who elevates everyone else. And Rondo is a key piece because what he did in New Orleans with Anthony Davis is they gelled really well together. So now you have another smart IQ veteran who's been in the finals, who's won a championship, rim protection with Tyson Chandler, JaVale McGee. And here's my ultimate reason why they are in the Western Conference Finals. Do they beat the Warriors? No. They get out in the Western Conference Finals. They don't win that year. They win the next year, and they get Klay Thompson or Kyrie Irving. But I digress. They would get there because, for one, the Rockets wouldn't have what it takes to beat them. James Harden by himself, yeah, he's putting up historic numbers. He's the MVP, averaging 36 points per game. Just I had another 40-point game winner. He doesn't beat them by himself. Chris Paul, talk about banged up and injured and older. He doesn't defend like he used to. Not the best three-point shooter. And let's see how him and James Harden get along. And their depth, Capella's banged up. PJ Tucker isn't having as good of a season. They don't have nearly as good as defense. So you're like, oh, who else? Dave, we even said the Nuggets wouldn't have beaten the Lakers. You add Anthony Davis to that mix, they don't beat the Lakers. So who's another top team that could threaten them? But if it's not the Rockets and if it's not the Nuggets?
OKC, yeah, you know me.
And that's what I was about to get to. Russell Westbrook, and we can have this debate in another podcast, is having the worst shooting year of his career like I predicted. 64% from the free throw line, 27% from the three-point line, 41% field goal percentage-wise. Paul George is your best guy. Not one of them can defend LeBron. Paul George maybe. Not one of them can defend Anthony Davis. They beat the Thunder. That's just my opinion. I think they are the second best team in the West instantly because of who they have. Are they top heavy? Hell yeah. Do they beat the Warriors? No. But they have what it takes to beat everybody else.
Just real quick before we go against your AD Lakers number 2 team, Russell Westbrook is averaging 22 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 10.8 assists. That is a triple-double, playing around 36 minutes a game, and they are the third best record in the Western Conference.
Read Paul George's stats.
With Paul George, who is a great player, and Russell is such a good talent, and he knows that Paul George is coming into his own and turning the keys over like Dwayne Wade did to the great LeBron James and becoming a championship contender team in the West.
Look up their shot attempts. What is turning the keys over?
Okay, so we're talking about Anthony Davis and the Lakers. The guy that you said was Rajon Rondo. 12th year in the league, Max. Older. Not in his prime anymore. You mentioned Draymond Green not in his prime anymore. This is his 8th year. This is Rondo's 4th year. You know what else Rajon Rondo is really good at this year so far? Injuries. 2 of them. 2 legitimate injuries out for, it was 8 games the first time, and this is 15 games because I think it's like a broken forearm or broken hand for the second time. So Rajon Rondo is your missing piece, your missing link for the Los Angeles Lakers? And who backs up Rajon Rondo?
Anthony Davis is the missing piece, by the way. Just them 2 alone.
You can't
can do
have a team, Max. It's basketball. It's 5-on-5 at all times, and then you need a bench in the playoffs. There's injuries. There's fouls. You know, people sit. The Lakers could be up 9 points against Portland, Utah, OKC, Denver, or Houston. And then the bench comes in and the bench takes over. You need help, Max.
Sir Dave, I have a question for you.
I got answers.
Okay. When LeBron James played the Boston Celtics, let's go by your report here. Let's go by your stat lines, your categories. Who's the best player in that series?
LeBron James.
Who's the second best player in that series?
When they played against Boston?
Yep.
Jason Tatum.
Who would have been the third best player in that series?
Al Horford.
Who would have been the fourth best player in that series?
Jaylen Brown.
Who would have been maybe the fifth best player in that series?
Jeff Uncle Green.
Maybe. Yeah,
he had a really good series, too.
He had a pretty good.
Remember.
My point being is LeBron had no help in Cleveland. He had a point guard who wasn't playing the way he used to play. He was supposed to be the most efficient three-point shooter, couldn't hit a three. J.R. Smith didn't even look like he wanted to play basketball anymore. Stylistically, you go up and down the roster, he should not have beaten Boston. But why did he beat Boston? He didn't have more depth. He didn't have a better team. He didn't have more help. He beat Boston because overwhelming talent sometimes just overcomes obstacles and that. So I will take two guys that can overcome obstacles together.
Tupac and Dr. Dre. East Coast and West Coast are two totally different things, Max. That was the
They're
East.
Still greats.
The baby dinosaurs. They beat the Raptors. They almost lost to the Pacers. They did. And the Pacers blew game 6. They could have beat them in the first round, but they didn't. And LeBron is the greatest player to ever play the sport. So you definitely have a chance to match them up at number 2 with him and AD and nothing else. Houston is on the rise. James Harden is playing MVP caliber basketball. He is nuts. 36 points a game. And Capella and CP3 are coming back, and Gordon's coming back healthy. OKC is not going away. Paul George is playing top-level basketball too. And lastly, I know you can be like, really? The Denver Nuggets will be an absolute tough out for the Lakers.
No way. Listen.
No way.
No, they're a deep team.
Really,
I shouldn't have said no way.
They're the kryptonite right now. The Lakers, I think, how deep they are.
I thought you were about to say they were going to beat the Lakers. I didn't. You said just a tough route. Yeah, I agree with that.
Tough out.
This is what I'm going to say. Let's play this game with the OKC.
Okay.
Best player in the series.
LeBron.
Okay.
LeBron James.
Second best player. I know who I go with.
Yeah, I would probably go with Anthony Davis. Okay. But right now, in a weird way, playing, like just in this last month, Paul George is playing better basketball than Anthony Davis. He's playing top level. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying it is. But I would give you the benefit of the doubt. Long term, for the last 5 years, Anthony Davis has been better.
Okay, and then the third is Paul George.
Paul George.
Fourth is Russell Westbrook.
Fifth
is Adams.
Definitely Steven Adams. I was going to say that there's a big gap between Steven Adams he's a borderline all-star.
Yeah, I like Adams. So fifth is Adams.
Yep.
Sixth, Schroeder.
Trying to think.
Because I know Rondo's injured now, but CP3 was just injured. Clint Capella was just injured, so we have to include him in the rankings when healthy. I would probably go playoff Rondo would be, what are we at, sixth?
Yes, no, 6 is Schroeder. Schroeder's better than Rondo.
Playoff Rondo is a different, like I know it sounds funny because we say playoff Rondo, but it really is different. Like it really is.
It's like sweatshirt mellow. Like
it is. It really is. Like playoff Rondo in my mind is better than Schroeder. But tomatoes. Let's just say Schroeder. Then we'd go Rondo, right?
Yeah.
Then who's next? Because I could say JaVale McGee the way he impacts the game. I could easily say Lance Stevenson in the playoffs is a good playmaker. All I'm saying is the Thunder aren't as deep as you think they are. Yeah, they have good pieces, but the Lakers aren't just done without those two. They have Rondo and key guys that I can make an argument that are better in those 7th, 8th, 9th positions.
Okay, we just said them. I'm going to kind of talk about this real quick. If they do this trade, this is one thing that people are not, I think, putting together. And we're the Locked In Podcast. We're not just going to tell you stats. Oh, Anthony Davis, 26.2 points, 14.1 rebounds. He's a great player. Get him. If they do this trade, a 5-for-1, a 6-for-2, they're going to trade a couple players back just because of money and stuff like that, right? They're going to have 2 to 3 open roster spots for the Los Angeles Lakers. One is absolutely Carmelo Anthony. It's going to happen. He's friends with LeBron. It's like too rumored. It's been out. It was out there at the beginning of the season. Then he got traded to Chicago. And then he got cut. He's literally on no team at all. He will become a Laker. And it's one of those things, Max, you probably know a friend or a family member that other people don't value as much as maybe you. Like, I really think, and that person, to a lot of other people, would be late to work, would not pick you up from the airport, but your best friend would pick you up from the airport. He's got your back. He'll be at work early. And I think, and, call me dumb, call me, hey, you're just trying to go, the other way. I think Carmelo would be a nice addition to the Lakers. I think he would say, LeBron, you're saving my career. We're going to try to win here. Shoot, might try to even win a championship. I think Carmelo Anthony will be on best behavior and really help the Los Angeles Lakers. That's one. And my last guy that no one's talking about was the Cleveland Cavs. They sent him home. J.R. Smith, who's got a great relationship with LeBron, can shoot the 3. You would think that he's hungry. So if you, in this trade, if you can add Anthony Davis and Carmelo Anthony and J.R. Smith on best behavior, so Max, your starting team is LeBron, Anthony Davis, playoff Rondo, Carmelo, and J.R. Smith. They could be one of the best teams in the world.
And even if you went JaVale McGee at the 5, so Anthony Davis can roam at the 4 and let JaVale McGee do all the dirty work.
Did you like
defense.
That?
Yes. And here's my thing. When Conor McGregor comes into the UFC, when he goes to a press conference, love him or hate him, it is a different feeling, right?
It's just when he to take part.
When he walks in a room, I guarantee you the media questions already know the first 10 questions they want when asked.
Sure.
But if somebody else in the UFC went in there that's just a co-main event, would they have those questions prepared maybe?
No, of course not.
When LeBron James walks in a room, it is a different feeling. Like players that usually have egos, they don't have egos with him because, and if they do, they leave, obviously. But my point being is it is different when you're playing with LeBron. It is clear he is the alpha. It's clear he's the leader. Like when Carmelo was with the Thunder, he's like, hey, I'm older than you, Westbrook. I'm older than you, Paul George. Maybe I could help you. I'm not saying I'm the best guy, but maybe I can help lead it a little bit. When he was with the Rockets, hey, I'm older than you. Hey, Chris, I know we're bros, but look, this is why I score. You can't say any of that to LeBron. He's been to he has 3 championships. He's been to 8, 9 finals now. He's arguably the greatest player of all time, and he's just as old as you are, just as experienced. There's nothing you can have over him. So he's like, yeah, thank you, like you said, for letting me come on your team. I know who you are. I know what your goal is. It's a championship or nothing. So that's why I'm with you, and I think we're the minority that it would work with Los Angeles. A lot of people say don't do it. If you have a Carmelo Anthony who understands his role, which we've never seen, but we think could happen with LeBron, I think he can be an effective player.
Especially, let's just call this out too. Carmelo Anthony's, to me, best years were with Denver and then a little bit with New York. Denver, he had Chauncey Billups, a leader point guard who passed him the ball. And then was the Knicks' best year was with Jason Kidd when he won a playoff series. Pure point guard, passed him the ball, and a leader. It was kind of their team. They were the quarterback. Carmelo Anthony was the Odell Beckham Jr., the great wide receiver. The Lakers is LeBron James' team. Melo, spot up, shoot the mid-range jumper, run the floor. LeBron will get you 12 points. Like, LeBron is that great of a player, that great of a passer. He's always been a little bit more Magic Johnson than Michael Jordan. He will create Carmelo Anthony into a solid B- player.
And that's exactly what you need in the playoffs.
Of course.
And you need a Sean Livingston, like we've been saying. We need somebody that hits that tough mid-range. Like, that's a tough one.
J.R. Smith, I'm telling you, that's the sleeper. No one said his name. I'm telling you, Rashad Phillips, you heard it here first. Talk soon. J.R. Smith to the Lakers would be nice.
So
they need a three-point shooter. They need someone to stretch the floor. Lance Stevenson's not a great three-point shooter. I just think J.R. Smith would be a nice addition to the team as well for free. You get him for free.
100%. To cap it all off on my end here.
Okay.
What a great episode. Locked in, 2 ends available on any podcast platform. We want to thank our guys, Magna Loops. We want to thank Fit Meals. We're available, like I said, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio. Locked in with 2 ends. Download and subscribe. We cover everything. NFL, MMA, Magic games, boxing events, obviously a lot of NBA. Dave, the Lakers need to do it, and they needed to go big. Yeah, you have to take a gut punch. Yeah, you're going to get criticism. Yeah, it's a lot of players. People are going to hate it, but get them in the building, and then we could build from there.
Real quick, one thing you didn't mention, I want to mention Fit Meals. Definitely check them out, myfitmeals.com. Check them out on Facebook. Also, the End Still Nutrition on Instagram. Their page is blowing up. They have great content there. It's The Real End Still. At Instagram, guys. Their products are coming out around 2-3 weeks. I cannot wait. They're going to have like a pre-workout shake. I'm going to get that going. Do you have a locked in for this episode? For the Anthony Davis? Any kind of left field things you want to talk about in this trade? Any sleeper team? Like, just real quick, to me, Kawhi Leonard, the Raptors was not an option. No one talked about him also in the day of. It's like, hey, he's getting traded for DeMar DeRozan. Anything like that?
76ers are a sleeper. I think they could trade Jimmy Butler or do something crazy. And I think, and I know you're like, oh, they have Embiid. Well, Anthony Davis could play the 4. The Magic could be involved to get Lonzo Ball. And I'm serious, because they can give up Fournier and Vucevic, right? And you can, because I saw like they have the trade machines, and it does make sense because the way they do it, Vucevic would go to the Lakers, and obviously so would Anthony Davis. The Magic would get Lonzo Ball, which is a playmaker, and they would get, there was one more a key piece that they would get, but then the Pelicans would get everybody that they wanted, and it was just like they would get Kuzma, Hart, the picks, the young players. Yeah, and Lonzo Ball and his camp has made it clear they want to go to a place that doesn't
Drew
have a
Holiday's there. Yeah, there's no reason Ball is going to go to the Pelicans.
Yeah, established point guard position, and that's what the Magic need is a point guard who's a playmaker. Yeah, so that's just a sleeper. Yeah. Magic may get involved.
Okay, so the Magic gets involved. All right. You got it locked in?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do it first. I'll do it second.
100% locked in, Anthony Davis will be a Laker. But the question seems to be when. I'm going to say it happens this season. Like, I don't think it waits till the offseason. I think it happens this season.
Well, there's 10 days left to the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So in the next 10 days.
Yeah, I think it happens in the next 10 days. I don't know if who may get traded. My guess would be if I had to bet my 401k on it, you had to bet your education, whatever the case may be, they clear the house. They probably do a little more than they wanted, but they get him in the building.
Okay. My locked in is with the Lakers, too. It's nothing to do with Anthony Davis, though. We talked about it. You think they might be the second best team. I think they could get there with Melo, J.R. Smith, Vucic, and maybe Anthony Davis getting traded. Maybe not. Then, hey, Kuzma, Ingram comes back, stays healthy, Ball, and try to get that team back together. They were the 4 seed, 3 seed before all these injuries. The Rockets and the MVP, James Harden, OKC, Denver, Golden State, Portland, Utah, West is stacked. The Lakers. My locked in is that the Los Angeles Lakers do not win 2 playoff series. They do not. They might win 1 playoff series. They might become the 7-6-5 seed and beat that Denver, who I think that's who the Lakers would want to play. They've never been in the postseason, Denver, and to me it would be a really good 6-7 game series, and they would probably win, and I would go with LeBron. But they do not beat a team after that like Houston, OKC, and damnly they're not beating Golden State.
Yeah.
So the Lakers only have 1 playoff series in them, guaranteed not 2.
With or without Davis, both?
Either way, yeah, it doesn't matter. And long term, getting Anthony Davis would be better for them. Anthony Davis could win a championship as the best player of the Laker 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. LeBron could be another piece, and they get another piece, right? This year, and maybe you and I disagree, it hurts the team in the 2019 season adding Anthony Davis and trading your second through 7th best players. I think it's too much. I remember when the Knicks did it to get Carmelo, they gutted their whole team. It's hard to do it even in the offseason and then work everyone back up. To do it mid-season and have LeBron, who doesn't practice that much anymore because he's in his 15th year. And
16th, I think.
Godly, 16th year, and have Anthony Davis switch teams and then playoff Rondo, but he's hurt. And just veterans. I just think there would be a messy season. And then to be honest, Luke Walton might get the axe, and that could be messy. So I think it hurts the team this year in the long term. And it's probably best to do that. They're not going to win it this year at all. So go long term, get AD, and go after Clay, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, get another piece. But my locked in, the Lakers do not win 2 playoff series.
And there you guys have it. Dave, what a terrific Anthony Davis unibrow talk.
Yeah, I could talk about this for hours.
I know. We have our new studio to keep decorating.
We definitely do. Guys, don't drink and drive. Be respectful. Be kind to your neighbor.
And like always, stay locked in.